I'm not gonna lie, this has been an incredibly hard video to film. I thought this was gonna be easier when I started recording. I've been at this for like an hour and a half, and it's been hard. Hello and welcome to Wednesday. I'm actually gonna share a big part of my life that I haven't really talked about on the vlog, and I've shown little tidbits of here and there in like my years of being on the internet, but this has been a topic that has been ongoing more and more on the internet as I've seen, and I feel like it's time for me to share my side of things. I am yet another person in the world who has gone no contact with my family, specifically my parents. And it's honestly due to one thing in particular. My parents couldn't accept who I was. For those of you who don't know, I'm trans. I came out as trans 3 years ago, and shortly after coming out as trans, I cut ties with my family. Now, of course, my identity is not the main catalyst as to why I cut ties with my family. No, it's actually 20 plus years worth of history. You know, I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of it because I'm not 100% comfortable with that. Maybe as time goes on, I may dedicate a video to talking about some stories about my family. It's actually interesting sharing personal family stories because, you know, things that may seem normal to me because it happened all the time, I'll share with someone and they'll look at me all wide-eyed and be like, oh my God, your parents were horrendous to you. That's so awful. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? That's not normal? It happens a lot, but I'm not going to go too much into that stuff. There's some main things that I'm going to talk about for this video, and, you know, maybe we'll take the discussion there in a later video. But yes, I did cut ties with my family. I have been no contact for 3 years, and a lot of it has to do with being trans. I am someone who came from a home where I had very strict expectations of who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do, and all of that jazz. I was basically conceived to carry on the family bloodline, carry on the lineage, to repopulate the world in the family name. I was expected to make a lot of money. I was expected to have good grades. I was expected to love sports and cars and all that stuff. I was also expected to be a boy. And very quickly in life, I learned I'm not a boy who loves sports, cars, drinking alcohol, and all that stuff. I am a girl who really likes video games. And yes, that is a huge issue to my family, specifically my dad. My dad has told me to my face that he sees video games as the reason why, in his words, I am a pathetic piece of shit. My dad has openly said he regrets showing me the Nintendo 64 when I was 2 years old because he sees that as the catalyst as to why I am such a horrendous person. I pay my bills every month. I've been taking care of myself since I was 18. I've had straight A's my entire life. I was a 3.8 GPA student, clear until my senior year of high school, and my GPA dropped to a 3.6, and that was me saying I didn't care anymore. But because I am a girl who loves video games and art, I am a worthless piece of shit who is not worth my parents' love and adoration. And I've known that my entire life. That's not a secret. I've known that forever. My parents have tried my entire life to get me to not like video games. They've done everything they could. It didn't work. I'm a stubborn individual. I know what I like, and I don't want people telling me what I don't like. I know who I am as an individual, and my parents never accepted me as an individual. To give you an idea how bad it was growing up, I remember my parents having multiple screaming matches over the simple concept of me being allowed to have long hair. I've had long hair most of my life. I've always enjoyed having long hair, and It's funny knowing the context that I'm trans, but one of the reasons why my dad always hated me having long hair and would have screaming matches with my mom about it was me having long hair made me look like a girl. And he didn't like that. He didn't like people thinking I was a girl, and spoilers, I was a girl, because that's not what he wanted. Again, both my parents had a very strict idea as to what they wanted, and even my mom. My mom very much wanted the stereotypical white picket fence family. She wanted a son and a daughter, and she wanted both of us to be rich and successful, and for us to have lots of kids so she could have lots of grandkids, and yeah, that didn't happen. Instead, she got 2 girls. And yeah, it's hurt a lot for both myself and my family. But again, there's decades upon decades of stories. Again, my mother is someone I don't trust at all. I don't. My mom has said and done a lot of things behind not just my back, but other people's backs. I've seen countless times of her just relentlessly dogpiling some of the closest family members around her, and then the next day going out of her way to be a part of their lives and help them out, only to come home and shit talk them the whole time, when it's just like, you spent the entire day helping them. But again, we're not going to go too much into that. At the end of the day, my parents are individuals, and their individuality deserves to be respected. Yes, my father is a very angry, bitter person, but there is a history behind that. Yes, my mom is a very distrusting person, and I don't trust her at all, but there is a history behind that. And I feel like that part about it doesn't deserve to be judged. What does deserve to be judged is the fact that my parents couldn't accept their child for who they were. And that is why I've chose to cut ties. I tried my entire childhood to be the person that my parents wanted me to be, so much so that I went and pursued careers I never wanted. I went to cybersecurity school and tried to get a career in cybersecurity, not because I love cybersecurity and I love all that stuff. Sure, I love computers. My computer is my life. But I don't love that side of computers. I love art. I love creating art. Something that my parents were very nitpicky on how much they supported. But I pursued a career in cybersecurity purely because I thought if I made a lot of money, my parents would love me. And that didn't pan out. Now, the big things I'm going to be focusing on moving forward is how my parents reacted to me being trans, as that's the most recent stuff, and why that ultimately caused me to cut ties. So, again, I came out 3 years ago, and I only came out to my mom. My mom spread the word to everyone, and that really broke my trust. My mom was very, very weird about it at first. Originally, when I saw my mom after coming out, I asked her, "How are you taking the news?" And she said, "I feel like my child died, and some weird person is taking their place." My mom was actively mourning my death, even though I was in the same vehicle as her. I was in the same vicinity as her. And I even told my mom, "Mom, I'm not dead. I'm still here. I'm still the same person. I'm still me. It's just your perception of me is not accurate." And she had a really hard time accepting that. Now, to give my mom credit, she did do a lot to try to show her support. You know, she bought me an entire new wardrobe after I came out. She bought me hair products and showed me how to properly care for my hair. And, you know, even offered to buy makeup. And I really appreciate that. But I really want to preface, one of the reasons why I stay no contact from my family is because I do not trust my mom. My mom is the type of person who will take those kind gestures and then weaponize them. My mom was the type of person where, again, just like my father, she never supported my enjoyment of video games. So when it came to the holidays, whenever, you know, as a kid, she'd be like, "Okay, what do you want for Christmas?" If I asked for a video game, she refused to get it for me. She would rather get me like socks than get me a video game I wanted. And that happened every year. Christmas and other holidays turned into, don't ask what you want, ask for what you need, because mom's not going to get you what you want. Because what do you want? You want video games. You want art supplies. She's not going to get those for you because she doesn't support those. So, and that even led into adulthood. My mom was the type of person where she would never listen to what you would ask for. She would just kind of expect you to want certain things that she felt like she wanted you to have, and then would just get it for you. And if you didn't reciprocate it with absolute shock and awe, she would turn around and call you ungrateful. Biggest example of that is the last Christmas I ever had with my family. This was a couple months after I came out as trans. Mere weeks before Christmas, my mom actually called me and asked, "Hey Taryn, do you need a vacuum?" And I said, "No mom, I actually just bought a brand new vacuum. I don't need a vacuum for Christmas." Guess what I got for Christmas that year? A brand new vacuum. There's another example that I'm going to go into that's an even better example, happened the same year, but I'm going to continue going down the pipeline of, me being trans and my family never accepting it and me ultimately deciding to cut ties. But as time went on, I noticed my family became less and less supportive of my transition. I remember I had a grandmother in another state come to visit shortly after I came out, and my mom flat out refused to even acknowledge the conversation. So I remember going to a restaurant with my mom and my grandma, and in full makeup, the whole shebang. By that point, I'd started HRT. My boobs were starting to grow. Like I had done vocal training and could just not acknowledge the fact that, hey, I'm a completely different gender now, Grandma. Sorry you didn't know. Mom didn't want anyone to know. And that is a very key thing. My mom didn't want anyone to know. Even though she told a bunch of people, at the same time, she never really wanted to discuss it. She wanted to control the narrative of my transition. So that's why even though I told her, hey, please don't tell anyone else about this, I'm going to share the news, she didn't let that happen. Now everything leads up to around Christmas of 2022. I remember talking to my mom about the idea of me trying contacts because I've been wearing glasses since I was in second grade. I thought about the idea of wearing contacts and I was finally okay with it. And I told her, you know what? I think I'm going to try it. Next time I get an eye exam, I'm going to try contacts and see if I like it. So for Christmas that year, my mom decided, I'm going to get you an eye exam and you're going to try contacts. And I did. And they were horrible. I absolutely hated them. They hurt my eyes immensely. I tried 2 different brands and neither of them properly fit in my eye. And when they would finally go into my eye or go on my eye or whatever, they would just be immensely painful. And I remember trying to tell my mom, hey, I tried those contacts. They don't really work. Thank you for the gift, but I don't think they're going to work out. Let me pay you back for my eye exam. And, she didn't really like that. My mom actually sent me this long text saying how ungrateful I am and how I just take all of her gifts and throw it back into her face. And I'm never grateful for anything she gives me. Keep in mind, this same Christmas, what I got for Christmas was a vacuum cleaner I told her I did not want, and an eye exam and contacts that I said I wanted to try, but didn't know if I would actually like. And I also offered to pay back. So, I'm grateful, I guess. Now at that point, I ultimately decided, you know what, enough's enough. I cut ties with my mom, and I have never looked back ever since. I did try to reconnect with my dad, as I mentioned before, about a year ago, because I never really got to come out to my dad. I felt like he deserved to hear it, and I had some semblance of hope that he would love and accept me for who I am, even though he never did in the first place, and to an extent, neither did my mom. that was a terrible mistake. I guess the point of this entire video is, for those of us who cut ties with our family, we have reasons as to why. And it's so frustrating whenever you try to share those stories and people often say, yeah, but it's family. You stick by family. I have extended family who still say that to me. And, I understand where they're coming from, but at the same point, I wish people would understand that for a lot of us who do cut ties, we don't do it because we want to. We do it because it is just time and time and time again of just being let down, being hurt. I haven't gone into the nitty-gritty details, but I'm just gonna flat out say it. My dad was verbally abusive. My mom was emotionally distant. My parents were parents, but were not a mother and father. Sure, they were a part of my life every single day. They didn't abandon me. But they were never there, Every day it was just, get out of my face, I can't stand you. But then at the same time, they're the ones who paid the bills, who fed you, who clothed you, all that stuff. But then it's like, hey, here's this thing I really enjoy and is a huge part of who I am. And it's like, well, I hate that thing, so therefore I hate you. That's kind of the family I came from. Although I love how I'm filming this and I see that I received a text from my boyfriend saying he loves me. Johnny, I don't know if you're watching this, you probably aren't, but I love you too. Now, I am making this video with the mindset that this is the final straw. If there was any possibility that I was ever gonna reconnect with my family, that's not happening. If any of my family sees this video, which they probably will, I'm making this video with the mindset of they are going to see it, there's no going back. Whatever semblance of family there was, it's gone. And that's just the type of people my family is. Again, I'm trying not to go into so many specific details because, again, there is history to it. My dad is verbally abusive to me because he was physically abused by his father, and he never handled that trauma. My mom is emotionally distanced from herself from me because she was also emotionally distanced from her family. She was often emotionally neglected from her family, and she just never came to terms with that. Usually those of us who cut ties from our family choose to do so because we're focusing on us. We're choosing to break those generational traumas that have plagued those before us. I do not cut ties with those that I consider family very lightly. I do so because there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, and there's zero accountability. I have had conversations with my dad trying to say, Dad, why don't you love me? Dad, just because I like video games and I'm trans, why can't you accept me? Why can't you love me? And the answer is simple. I don't know. I've been told that by my own father. I have been told by my own father, I don't really know, but I'm not going to think about it. Fuck you. So yeah, you either got to choose, are you going to allow yourself to be a part of that and continue that generational trauma, or are you going to break it? You're going to break those shackles. And I think that's a big reason why I want to make this video. I don't necessarily want to share all of my family traumas because in some regard, I still respect my family. I still respect my parents. They raised me. They are a big reason why I am the way that I am. And while, yes, there is a ton of pain and trauma behind that, it's up to me to deal with that. And I have. And part of dealing with that and everything is accepting that my life is happier without them. My life is happier not being around a mother who I don't trust because I know behind my back she's saying horrendous things about me and everyone else that I care about. Or being around a father who just wants to call me racial slurs or at this point homophobic slurs. and, you know, just wants to make me feel like I'm not even human. So, to those of you who have been through similar situations, it sucks, doesn't it? But I've never been happier. I've never regretted cutting ties with my family. It has been the best choice I've ever made in my life, and I will forever stick by that. The only thing that is ever going to cause me to reconnect with my family is if they try to force themselves back in, and at that point I will reject it. I'm very much happy without them, and I think they're happier without me, especially with the things that I hear about, you know, about them from extended family, which is actually a big reason why I don't even talk to my extended family anymore, because it always had to come back to talking about my parents, and even though I would share my experiences with my parents, no one really ever cared to believe me. Anywho, sorry for cutting, you know, making this such a long video. I feel like it was a lot that had to be said, but let me know if you want to know more stories about my childhood and my upbringing and just various stories about that. I think it might be interesting to dedicate a vlog or two to just like, yeah, this was a thing from my childhood. Anywho, because I feel like if I did explain it more, it would make more and more sense as to why. But for, again, this video, I feel like I've already made this video too long. I don't feel like that's necessary. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. For those of you who are keen viewers of the vlog, you may have noticed that I'm using a completely different setup for this. I'm actually using my phone to film this vlog. So if you actually like the look of this video more than you like whenever we use the traditional camera, let me know. I may actually switch over to using my phone if people like it more. But, yeah, and let me know, anyone who's watching this video who also has cut ties with their family, feel free to share. Really, feel free to share. I'm curious. And, again, if people want me to, I can talk more about my family past and why I really don't talk to them. Because I'm, honest to God, simplify it, I cut ties because of video games and being trans. It really is that simple. Like, I did not fit the stereotypical straight white Christian male who loves football and America. You know, that's what my family wanted me to be, and that's not me. I am a trans woman who loves video games and art. And they couldn't accept that. So, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry this video was so long, and we'll see you tomorrow.